All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show, trying to make sense of this Niner loss to the Cardinals yesterday. Thanks for checking out the Krug Show. Check out Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. Pig and a Pickle. Get the barbecue. It's amazing barbecue. Go get the brisket chili. Go say to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. And this video is also brought to you by Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Thanks to my good buddy Anthony Catania. He is at 831-521-5264. Thanks to Sharp Corners for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's get into it. A lot of reaction on a Monday when the Niners lose. And the Niners lost. So let's get into it. First, let's hear from Richard Sherman. Here is Richard Sherman on the panic meter. And you'd think, hey, Richard Sherman, this guy's been there, done that. He's probably saying, hey, don't press the panic button. Everybody relax. 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 Anyway, here's Richard Sherman.
My panic meter's at a 10. It's at 11. It's panic mode because these are two unacceptable division losses to the bottom dwellers of your division. This team here just coming off a 28-point drubbing to the Washington Commanders, and you're like, hey, we should be able to look at that tape and find answers and be able to win this game. But you're not. You're not winning this game, and you're the more talented team walking into the stadium each and every time. And you could talk about the injuries. You could talk about the heat. We can make excuses, but these are the games you got to dominate, and they're not dominating. I mean, outcoached them, outplayed them, out-efforted them, outran them. It's tough. It's tough to watch. It was tough to watch this game, especially in the second half. Brandon Ayuk finally gets to shine, but now we turn the ball over 3 times. It's like you fix one problem, something else breaks, and that seems to be the luck of the draw this season with the San Francisco 49ers.
So there you go. Richard Sherman does not say RELAX, relax, or RELAX. Yes, relax. He's not saying that. He's saying panic meter. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's at 11. Yeah, I mean, you can't lose to the Arizona Cardinals at home, who just gave up 200 yards rushing to Washington, who just gave up 42 points to a rookie quarterback. And you're at home on a sunny day, and you get beat by the Arizona Cardinals? Inexcusable. All right, that's number one. And by the way, last week when Sherman was talking positively about the Niners, he had the Niner hat on. This week he's wearing a Seahawk hat. We'll deal with that another time. But that was Richard Sherman. Let's hear from Colin Cowherd, a guy that I don't really like all that much. But here's Cowherd doing his thing day after, talking about the Niners' struggles on defense.
I had said before the season I worried about San Francisco. J-Mac is my witness. I said I think they've peaked. They're getting very old. They're getting very reliant on Christian McCaffrey. I did not like all the money talk and the noise in the offseason. That creates some animosity. There are reports this morning from a reporter, Mike Silver, that there's a weird vibe in the locker room. And this morning, here's what we know about the Niners. They've beaten the Jets and the Patriots. And their defense, the names are bigger than production. It's just not that intimidating. Windows close because of the regulated level of violence very quickly in the NFL. Players get old fast. The only thing that lasts a long time in this league is the great coach, great quarterback combination. Walsh and Montana, Belichick and Brady, Reed and Mahomes. You get the right coach and the right quarterback, that puppy can last a long time. But does this sound like it lasts a long time? Super physical team that's solid at quarterback. Now, I know what you're saying. Brock Purdy's more than that. Folks, Brock Purdy in his career now, it's been established. When he leads, bit of a front runner, 131 quarterback rating. In his career, when Brock Purdy trails in the fourth quarter, his passer rating is 62. He is good when he's comfortable. He's good with a lead. He's not good trailing. Here comes the house, and everybody knows you've got to throw it. And that is the difference between Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy. If you know he's throwing, he's not anything other than ordinary. The roster's physical, but when you watch that game, it was Arizona that was spry and dynamic and twitchy and had young stars, McBride and Kyler and Harrison on offense. That's what it looked like to me. I just don't see and I don't feel the magic with the Niners, and maybe it's just this. Christian McCaffrey's the magic. About 3 or 4 times a game, he turns a 3 to 4 yard gain into a 24-yard gain. Kyle Shanahan's record without him is a losing record. And I like Kyle, but I don't see the special. They blew another fourth quarter lead. They've become a terrible red zone offense. Last year, they were the number 1 red zone offense. Now, they're one of the worst. 22 trips, 9 touchdowns. What's missing? Christian McCaffrey. That's it. Same O-line, Debo, Kittle, Kyle, same names on defense. Why are they so bad in the red zone? The magic was Christian McCaffrey. I had said they're getting too Christian McCaffrey reliant, and the numbers bear it out. Listen, Belichick, Andy Reid, they'll all tell you the quarterback is more valuable than the coach. But there are these rare instances, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Christian McCaffrey. They may not be quarterbacks, but they drive the operation. And without Christian, they get into these situations in the red zone where he would turn a 3-yard gain into a clever 7-yard gain and a touchdown. I mean, that game, Kyler Murray threw a pick to Bosa. Block kicks. It was there for the taking.
All right, there you go. Colin Cowherd talking about the Niners' struggles. I mean, obviously, if you take out Christian McCaffrey, who scored 18 touchdowns in the red zone last year, that you're not going to be as good in the red zone. So that's that. Brock Purdy, I think all quarterbacks have a better numbers when they're leading as opposed to coming from behind. All quarterbacks are going to play better when you have the possibility to hand it off, as opposed to everybody knows you can't hand it off because you've got to score points and you got to pass. So I don't know that I put a lot of credence in that. I think his initial point, though, is really valid, which was talking about the defense. Nick Bosa is not playing at the same level of TJ Watt. He's just not. He doesn't look like TJ Watt. He's not playing that well. Nick Bosa had 2 pressures yesterday. 2. That's not enough. And then you look at the rest of that line. Leonard Floyd is not bad, but he's a little long in the tooth. Collins and they had Hargrave. Now they've got Elliott. I mean, they're okay, but they're not. It's not a dominating defensive line. They had a dominating linebacking core when they had Azeez Al-Shaair, Andre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. But when you take away 2 of the 3 guys and you replace them with nothing really, you're going to have a major drop-off there. They lost Emmanuel Mosley and Jimmy Ward, 2 really big physical guys who could also run and cover. They didn't really replace them, or at least if they have, they've done it with younger players that aren't ready to play consistently. So I think defensively, the 49ers have taken a step back. And the big one is that Dre Greenlaw is a star player. And whether the league recognized it or not, that's like immaterial. I mean, Dre Greenlaw is an all-pro caliber linebacker. We've known that for years. All Niner fans know that to be true. So, there's a truth of every situation. The truth is the Niners didn't just lose a linebacker. The truth is they lost one of the 3 or 4 best linebackers in the game today. And they were leaning so heavily on Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner to be, to do everything on that second level. Pressure, receivers in the flat, take away the run. And they did an amazing job at just kind of carrying the entire run D. But if you take away Greenlaw, you take away Azeez, you make Fred Warner less than 100%, and you start trying to fill in with these Flanagan Fowles people and Devondre Campbell. I mean, it's like, sorry, that ain't going to work. So, that's where the 49ers are not nearly as good. I agree. I mean, Nick Bosa's got a big name. He didn't have a big game yesterday. He didn't. Fred Warner has a big name. Fred Warner didn't play his best game yesterday. Hafanga, people talk about Hafanga in glowing terms. He was a liability yesterday. Absolute liability. No doubt in my mind. Talanoa Hafanga played 11 snaps. He had a missed tackle. He allowed a 14-yard reception. He had the lowest defensive PFF rating of anybody on the defense. Mooney Ward is great. He's a great player. He was targeted 4 times. He gave up 3 receptions. And he had 1 missed tackle, and he had the opponent's quarterback rating when targeting Mooney Ward was 116.7. So, Bosa had 2 pressures. He's not Bosa. Fred had a bunch of tackles, but he wasn't the same player. They missed Greenlaw. Ward and Hafanga, ordinary on the back end. 15 missed tackles. The Niners struggle on offense. They went 1 for 6 in the red zone, but that's natural. You took away a receiver that was doing everything in the red zone, and now you're not as good. Well, shocker. And the special teams have been, again, disappointing. But the defense was supposed to be good, and it's totally average. And I don't think that the 49ers are the same caliber of team when the defense is average. You got to move off of Campbell. You got to move off of Campbell. And I feel like I've got a pretty good idea that Campbell's not going to be a good guy if you move off of Campbell. So you're probably going to have to cut Campbell, because I don't think he's not going to be a good guy hanging out in the corner of the locker room, not playing. As soon as he's not playing, he's got to be off the roster because he's not going to be happy. And he's going to have a negative influence in the room. So it's probably time to go to Winters. It's probably time to go to Graham. It's probably time to go to Tatum Bethune. It's probably time to go look for faster, younger, better linebacker prospects on other teams' practice squads and give them Devondre Campbell's roster spot and move on from Campbell. If you look at Campbell, 21 receptions on 24 targets through 5 games, 9.8 yards per reception. He's given up a 116.1 passer rating when targeted this year. He's missed 6 tackles on the year, 5 of them in the last 2 weeks alone. This guy, if you look at his numbers, had a great season in 2021 for Green Bay. He wasn't good before that, and he hasn't been good after that. So I'd cut him. And I'd go sign a Kalen DeLoach. DeLoach is, very productive, very fast, sub 4.5 speed, was productive in the preseason, was productive at Florida State. He would be like adding the fastest linebacker to your stable. They need way more speed on that second level. Is Campbell bigger than DeLoach? Yeah, DeLoach is 215 pounds, 220 pounds. Campbell's 250. But Campbell literally plays the run so poorly that I would put somebody who weighs 200 pounds out there instead of him and feel fine. He had multiple plays yesterday where if you watch the end zone camera, he got stuck by his own doing behind a lineman, took himself out of the hole, only to see the running back run right through that hole. So he cannot be trusted. He's not good against the run. He's not good against the pass. He's too slow, and he's a liability. So you can't change out everybody, but I would start right there because Campbell, you have other options, and you have faster options, and I would go to those options right now. So Niners have a bunch of problems, right? If you wanted to go through, James Conner went for 5.9 a carry in the second half. Brock Purdy threw, 2 more interceptions. J.P. Mason had a fourth quarter fumble inside the 10. Can't fumble in the red zone. Kyle Shanahan opted to kick a field goal on 4th and goal from the 1 in the second quarter. Just ridiculous levels of conservative approach to play calling. Campbell's been a nightmare. Hafanga is not the player that he was. Ward is getting torched. Bosa's not doing anything. 9 pressures last week, only 2 this week. You go 1 for 6 in the red zone. You miss a dozen tackles. Your D-line has 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 9 pressures combined. Everybody. And the sack and the 2 quarterback hits are all Leonard Floyd. So what are the other guys doing out there? So overall, there were some positives. I mean, we saw Jordan Elliott block a punt or block a field goal. We saw Demo Lenore run that one back. We saw Demo playing his ass off, trying to be a hitter. We saw Jordan Mason go for over 6.5 yards a carry. We saw Ayuk have the best game of his year. Fred Warner had 12 tackles in a TFL. I mentioned Floyd's pressure on the quarterback. Bosa had a pick. Moody kicked a couple field goals before he went out. And they held James Conner to 1.5 a carry in the first half, but he gutted him for nearly 6 yards a carry in the second half. So overall, I would say the Niners on defense are the biggest concern. I think they can get it going on special teams. I think they might be able to have a serviceable offense. But defensively, they need changes. They're too slow at linebacker. And they really need to be aggressive and go see if they can find a couple new players because they're getting picked on. They don't have enough rush up front. It's a rush and cover game. They got a lot of young DBs on the back end. So you got young DBs that are getting toasted because you don't get enough heat up front, and you got Campbell giving up anything and everything in the middle of the field. So you got to solve that first. You got to get Campbell out of the equation, and you got to start putting more heat on the quarterback. And if you do, and your offense can score some points, suddenly I think your young DBs are going to play better because of it. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.